Hi guys, welcome to the 5th episode of Slow Spin Society podcast. I'm Fabian, and today with Paul, we'll be talking about bikepacking and trackpacking more specifically. So what is bikepacking? How do you get into it? What should you know? We'll try to discuss most of it today.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 5. And yeah, bikepacking and trackpacking is a huge subject. There's a lot to talk about. So we'll try to stay organized during this episode, but I can't promise anything really. So yeah, we'll try to do as best as we can. We already tried to record that episode once, and we had to record again for different reason that you can actually learn by listening to the pre-show. We also talked about weird Netflix documentaries and foldable bikes.
Yes. So to start off with bikepacking, it's like we said, it's a massive topic, right? So first off, what is bikepacking? People understand bikepacking as in taking stuff in bags on your bike, cycling somewhere, and sleeping there. That's like the general idea of bikepacking, right?
Yeah.
But then underneath that, there's also like people that do cannonball runs. It's like 200 Ks in one go, or they just take some clothes with and a credit card and they sleep in a different city in some hotel after cycling a day. And then there's also taking everything with and camping in the wild, in the campsite or wherever. So these are like the main different bikepacking ways, I think.
Yeah.
They are.
And also mentioning that you can bikepack in every terrain, really. There is like bikepacking on pavement when you're with your road bike, or bikepacking on gravel paths, single tracks with a mountain bike. There's really a lot of different types of bikepacking, really. But today we're going to talk, because this is the Slow Spin Society podcast, right? We're going to talk more into trackpacking. So bikepacking with your fixed gear or track bike.
Yeah. So when people think like, "Oh, bro, you have a track bike, it has one gear. How can you do that, man? You always have to pedal." Like that, it sounds kind of like ridiculous that one would do a like long bike tour or like hundreds of kilometers in a week on a track bike, right? But it's doable, and we'll show you how you can do that. And one of the most important things to track packing is you need a track bike, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of track bike would we recommend?
So there is like so many options for bike fits that we're gonna tackle a little bit into, like your handlebar, your saddle, your pedals, your shoes. But the main thing at the end is being on a bike that you feel comfy with, and that really having a bike that every nicks and knacks, where it can break or like how to fix it, uh, and being on a bike that you're confident with, where you're comfortable in on your saddle, is really the most important thing, because you're gonna spend entire days on your saddle. So
Yeah. So although weight makes a big difference in bikepacking, it's easy to think that, oh, I should just get a super lightweight titanium, aluminum or carbon bike, whatever. But then if you don't have any experience with it and something happens on the road in the middle of nowhere, you're kind of out of luck. So and you know yourself best and your bike best and how to deal with it. That's why we recommend. I think it's the best idea to just stick to what you know if you're gonna be with it for a long extended time.
100%. Like trying a new saddle the day you plan to do 200 Ks and probably another 200 the next day is not a good idea.
Yeah. So like take whatever you're comfortable with it, and that concerns handlebars, pedals, shoes, saddles, whatever you're the most comfortable with. That's probably the best idea to start with. So for handlebar, there are the two main options, I think, which is in the fixed gear community, that's wide bars or risers, or like those type of bars.
Yep.
And drop bars. And I think Paul and I, we have different preferences when it comes to this.
Yeah, you're more of a drop bar guy, right?
Yeah. So I prefer drop bars, especially for like long distance, because of the Yeah, the hand positions you can have. I think it's really useful that you can move your hands around, and it's because after a while having one hand position is probably, for me at least, it gets really uncomfortable. But that also depends on you, on yourself then. Like you prefer wide bars, right?
Well, I did both. I did trackpacking with wide bars and with drop bars. Wide bars, uh, I feel for me at least, they're comfy because it makes, if they are wide, I ride like 750 millimeters. So it's pretty wide. It's pretty out there. And for me, it opens my chest a lot because my arms are so spread out. So breathing is easier, and like I have that a little bit more upright position. For long distance, it's
Yeah,
easier, right? Draw bars also really cool if I have like a stem that rise a little bit. Uh, Not really, like I have like a 6-degree stem, so it's not completely flat when you see your bike from a profile, right? It's just
yeah,
rise a little bit, and it it makes it for me. I have like a pretty good position, and I can ride as long as I want. Really,
yeah,
I can fit more stuff with wide bars.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also one thing then to see of what you're taking with. And then there's also for handlebars the in between. So some people, like the professionals at least that go like ultra distance, they normally or often they have like clip on TT bars, right?
Yes.
And so most of the time I see that with drop bars, but I think it's also possible with wide bars. And then you have the option of using like the hoods or the wide bars in the city, and then you switch to TT position when you're just going straight and fast.
Yeah. It also really depends on your pace, right?
Yeah.
If you have like a pretty slow pace and it's more of like a relaxing thing that you're going from A to B to camp, and you're not gonna arrive too late, like everything is fine, then yeah, why not flat bars, right? But
Yeah.
if you're more into performance and doing like a cannonball, or you really want to get there as fast as possible, then probably drop bar is a better option for you.
Yeah. And then there's also, yeah, like we said, saddle is important. So whatever fits your butt the best, that's what you know the best. That just stick with that. No reason to change.
Yes, 100%.
Um,
Don't go with like a stupidly thin carbon saddle just to save weight on
yeah,
track packing.
it's, comfort is really like one of the key things with bike packing or being on the bike for a long time. I think that's the most important thing then.
Yeah, but bro, the
I
carbon saddle flex, it's actually really comfy. No, it's not.
can't feel my nuts anymore, but worth it, man. And then, of course, the final one of the final things about bike fit is also pedals and shoes.
Yes.
So, so with track packing, always full retention, whether it's cages, straps, or clipless. But I think especially for bike packing, or yeah, track packing rather, clipless really like shines because you have extra weight to carry, and being able to pull up more efficiently is important and
Yeah,
will
the
benefit
fact
you.
that you might go uphill with your weight, the weight of your bike, and also the weight of everything you carry, right? You might want clipless pedals, but if, as usual, if you plan to do something with a pretty low pace, then any kind, every kind of foot retention is fine, really, as long as you have some.
Yeah. And then as well, like with clipless, people often think that, oh, I don't have to bring a second pair of shoes. But with most mountain bike shoes, you can just walk around in them comfortably. Like more, not, I wouldn't say comfortably. It's just fine. But
Yeah.
like you're not gonna have much trouble walking around in them. And on the topic of that, Adidas released a new pair of shoes this week, I believe. Right?
Yes, they did. I don't remember the name, but they released like a shoe that looks like a sneaker, right? And is actually a clipless shoe. It looks okay. It looks pretty good. And I heard that when you walk, your clip doesn't actually touch the ground, so that's a plus.
That's a
But
plus. Yeah.
yeah, but on a bike packing trip, whatever shoe you take it another pair of something comfy. You know, if it's even like flip flops or Crocs, I don't know what you're wearing. Just take something that you can wear at the end of the day, because really, you you want to be out of there. You want to be out of those shoes that you've been in all day and sweating and everything.
Yeah, they need to take a rest as well, I think.
Yes.
And the topic of track packing as well, and track bikes in general, there's a big question of gear ratio for everything. Gear ratio, skid patches, all these different things.
The
What you're used
answer
to,
is easy. There's an
what you're
easy
used to,
answer for everything.
there might be what you're used to in the city. Let's just say, I'll say it, okay? 4917, right? That's what everyone is thinking right now. 4917 is like the most common, most like all round option there is. It might be perfect for the city. It might be perfect for going to the supermarket or whatever, but you also have to take account of the route you want to do your tour on, your bikepacking trip.
Yes.
If there's lots of hills or no hills, if there's no hills, maybe go a bit heavier. If there's lots of hills, maybe go a bit lighter. So you just have to think about what you're comfortable at for a long time without stopping and for days on end. So 4917 might not be the perfect one after all then. Sorry, I have to say it.
Oh
But
my god. No, I can't do this.
so yeah, so gear ratio is one thing to look out for as well. I think it might be something easier to forget sometimes.
And still on the subject of track packing and riding track bike, the fact, do you ride brakes or not? The answer here is also easy. If you need to stop yourself and your bike, you're probably looking at, I don't know, a 7 kilo or 8 kilo bike. Then if you need to stop that weight plus the weight of everything you carry, again, you're gonna fuck your knees up.
Yeah. And
Really.
yeah, and after doing like 100K in a day, I don't think you'll want to do that anymore. Trying to skid
Yeah.
after a long day in the saddle, I think you'll just be like, "Okay, damn, I'm going too fast. I guess this is it, guys." And then so, so
Well, guess
you'll
I
thank
die.
yourself. So I guess like having brakes and the option of just having like a safe, reliable, and really easy, just like squeezing your hand way
Yeah.
to stop at the end of a day. It's really worth it when you're carrying so much stuff.
In the end, bike packing is really about being comfy and confident in your gears. So if having a break can give you that extra peace of mind, then yeah, go with it. If you're doing a cannonball and all you have is a survival blanket with you and a bowl of water, then no breaks, baby. Go on. I don't know, like 4.0 gear ratio and just like rip it.
One rotation there. But yeah, like another thing about track bikes in general is that people like how simple it is, right? There's no derailleur that can be bent or like some gears that can be slightly off center. It chain line, fuck it, 1 centimeter left, right, it works anyway. Who cares? But on a bike packing trip, take your tools with. You never know what can happen. That's
100%.
Yeah. So normal tools like a wrench for your rear wheel and like a multi-tool. That's fine for 90% of the problems. But then, like if you take extra tape or zip ties, that can fix stuff that you wouldn't expect to be broken. Like you never know. And I think Paul, you had to use zip ties or something or tape in the past, right?
Yeah, electrical tape. Like tape and zip ties are those little lifesaver items that you want with you. Really, one time I was on track packing trip and a friend had those mountain bike shoes, and the close was like the boa system. So you basically have like a wire that is your lace, right? It goes like a lace around your shoe, and you close it with a little turning thingy, rotating thing,
Yeah.
and that rotating thing decided to break like out of nowhere, really. And so we just taped his shoe, and he went home easily, really.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things you want with you, even if you're not sure you're gonna use it. Just take it, really.
Yeah. I don't think anyone could have anticipated the turning thing falling off or just simply not functioning anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, lucky you had tape then.
Or just take shoes with normal laces.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you could do that too. Um, Finally, not finally, but another important thing to remember when bikepacking is bring enough water bottles. Track bikes normally don't come with bottle cage mounts, but if they do, put some bottles there. If they don't, buy like the bottle cages that you can just strap around the down tube or whatever. But
Yes.
really important to bring enough water, even if it's an extra 1 or 2 kilos. That's the weight that's worth spending.
Yes, you definitely want that extra water. Also to give you again that extra peace of mind that if you're going from A to B and you're not sure what's in between, then you know you'll have enough water, right?
Yeah.
But simple rule of thumb really, whatever water you take with you, just double it. And if you never take water with you while commuting, take take some now, really. Hydrate yourself.
What hydro homies, really?
Yeah,
That's the
hydro
thing.
homies.
And on the topic of not knowing what's in between A and B, a GPS. So a GPS like bike computer mount, and the bike computer itself. So this is more of like a. I mean, I see it more with like road bikes, of course. The roadies that use a GPS tracker to track like their Strava stats and their wattage and everything. But I think like the map feature is really useful for bike packing or track packing.
Yeah. And then after you can share all your sick Strava stats with your friends.
Yeah,
If you have the paid
yeah.
version.
And if you have friends. But yeah, so I think that's really useful because you never know where you might be, or if you want to take a spontaneous detour or adventure, it's always nice to like keep track of where you want to be in the end.
Yeah, and like paper maps are so 1900s, right?
Yeah, I don't think they
I
even make them anymore.
I don't even know how to read a map. No, just kidding. But
What's a map, man? Okay, yeah, but
wait, there is no "I am here" point on it? It's where am I? How
I
am I
fucking
using this?
so even though yeah, paper map yeah, that might be a thing as well that's useful to take with if as like a final like how you say emergency tool to know where
Yeah,
you
it
are.
doesn't take that much weight and space, to be honest.
No, no. At least in the Netherlands, or I think in Europe, there are like these waypoints for bike tours where you can see on like some signposts, oh, here's waypoint 462. And then you can buy like the map for bicycle tours with the waypoints. And then you can, if you see one, they're like every 1 or 2 kilometers, I think. You can see where you are almost specifically. So that's also paper map benefit, I guess.
Welcome to point 420. Oh my god, it's cloudy out there. What's happening?
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay. So, items that you also will need during your trip if you ride at night and really also if you camp is lights. So, a front light, a rear light, probably a headlight. Uh, they may having a headlight while you ride at night really makes the difference
Yeah.
because the ability to see around you without moving your steering, right?
Yeah.
Is like so much easier. So much easier.
And it also helps you be seen by other people
Yes.
when you're cycling at night.
100%.
So yeah, it's really useful to just have a headlamp when you're at the camp, and when because there's not going to be any lights in the forest. Let's be real.
No.
So it's not much nicer than holding your phone.
If you see some, maybe don't go too close.
Yeah, that might not be right. Maybe you're in the wrong area. So yeah, these are like the main things I think. Like one of the main things of like the first half that you would need for bike packing. So that covers bikes.
Yeah.
But then there's also the bike packing. So what you pack with and where you pack it, bags.
Bike packing is really like the Minecraft of cycling. It's like mine and craft. Bike packing. It's just
Combination.
it's the combination of both words, people.
Yeah. And when it comes to the second part of that word, what type of bags do we need?
Yes. Really, there is a good amount of different kinds of bags. You have like handlebar bags, frame bags, saddle bags, top tube bags. You can also use tool kegs. So also you can store some stuff on your fork if you have mounts for it. Really, you have like all sort of things.
Yeah.
What I use and what Fabian use is the really classic setup. So one handlebar bag, one frame bag, one saddle bag.
Yeah. And if you want to have like extra portability of snacks or your like phone or whatever, you can get like a top tube bag, and that's just like a small bag on the top tube where you can easily reach in to get some snacks while cycling. You don't have to try and reach to the front to your handlebar bag, or it's just much easier. So I
Easy,
think it's also,
snacky, accessy.
yeah, exactly. Just put like a small cheeseburger or McNuggets in there and you just eat them while you go. But yeah, so it also depends on what type of bikepacking trip you want to do. If you're doing like a minimalist setup where you're just going from hotel to hotel, city to city, maybe you're just fine with a handlebar bag and a frame bag or just a saddle bag. But if you're doing a full trip, you might need all of them and maybe more or less.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, in the past or like even today, people do use panniers, but panniers you need a back rack and like a special front rack or whatever, and it changes the way your bike handles as opposed to using a handlebar bag, frame bag, saddle bag.
Yeah.
And I think that's also more for bike touring. I think panniers, right?
Yes, basically bike packing is just bike touring but cooler, really.
Yeah, cool. You spend the extra money to have it integrated into your bike, the bag.
But
But yeah, so
the common rule of thumb is to put the most weight you have in the middle. So that's all like the bag management thing. So
yeah.
probably Fabian can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the heavy things you take with you on the bike packing trip would be, for example, your stove and like the fuel source for the stove, your tools, your inner tubes, things like that. These are the heavier things. Your phone, they would go inside the middle frame bag. Because if it's in the middle, it's like the center of gravity. It's not going to fuck with you when you're turning or cycling. It's just going to feel fine. And then the lighter things, such as the hammock or the tent or the sleeping bag, these things can go into the handlebar bag or the saddle bag because those are much bigger than the tools and all these other smaller things, and they're much lighter. So when you turn, it's not going to have that much of an effect on how you handle the bike. It will have an effect, but much better than if it was anywhere else, pretty much.
Yes. And if you just got your bags and all your stuff and you're planning to go on a trip, really make a test ride because bikes don't handle the same with all that extra weight.
No,
So do a test ride. Really, it's important, especially on a fixed gear. You'll see that it is a complete different story from your regular riding experience.
yeah.
So yeah, make a test.
If you're used to like going like rush hour traffic, going left and right through all these tiny gaps, and you try to do that with your bags, with your bike fully strapped with bags, you're gonna like smack someone or like destroy some windows. Whatever. You never. It's not gonna be the same thing. So yeah, test ride.
Just leaving a trail of disaster behind him.
You have like no idea. Oh man, my big dildo bag on the back of my saddle did that? No way. And yes, the saddlebag looks like a big dildo on
Oh,
the back
it
of your
does.
saddle.
Yeah, 100%.
So more specifically, when it comes to what to put in those bags, you will need one of the main things for bike packing. If you're not using a hotel, is a sleeping system. So like what shelter you're going to use, and the main four ways that you can like sleep comfortably outside is either using a tent on the ground, a hammock between like poles or trees or whatever, a bivy bag that's also on the ground, and a tarp. So
Yes.
a bivy bag and a tarp are usually used together, and a bivy bag is kind of like a sleeping bag for your sleeping bag. So you have
Yes.
like a double sleeping bag, and you're just on the floor outside, and then you can put like a tarp to cover yourself, but then you're more exposed to everything as if instead of being in a tent or hammock.
Yeah. You use a tent, right?
Yeah, so I use a tent for one person, and I think it's personally I feel it's really like cozy if I'm in in nature, and I'm like have my own like four walls or whatever, and it feels like safe and comfortable. And I think the same thing with you, right? You use a hammock for camping.
Yeah, I use a hammock. It's really nice. It's not a hammock. It's like a camping hammock. So you're fully enclosed in it while you're sleeping. And I also have a tarp on top. So no rain, no bugs, nothing really. It's pretty good, and it's
Yeah,
super light too.
and then but like generally like tent and hammock, they're the heavier types of camping, and then the
Yes,
bivy bag is really like the bivy bag and tarp is that's like really like the ultra lightweight method because you're just on the ground in two bags basically.
you can have a tarp that is 80 grams, really.
Yeah, it
So
just
if
protects you
you,
from some raindrops.
yeah, if you plan to sleep under a tarp, yes, but you'll be exposed to a lot of things. And when you're sleeping outside in the nature, Mother Nature reminds you how many freaking bugs they are out there. Like,
Yeah. Mother Nature made like 265 million versions of mosquitoes, and they will all be there at the same time when you're there if you're in the bivy bag.
yeah, they're like, oh,
But
it's
so,
my forest.
yeah, so like, yeah, hammock and tent, they can generally protect you by having like these insect, yeah, how do you call them, nets around you to protect you. But
Yes.
if you're in a bivy bag, I think there are also versions that have like a net to cover your, yeah, the opening, so to say. But most bivy bags are just, you're just there, open, your face is exposed, and anything can just crawl in. Maybe that's just me being a bit paranoid, but it just like freaks me out a bit to think you're just sleeping there in the grass or wherever in the bivy bag.
I mean,
But yeah,
yeah.
it's up to comfort as well when it comes to sleeping system.
Yes, it's up to your own ability to deal with elements, really.
Yeah. And hotel is the best, of course. It's the most comfortable. You have a shower and everything. But then that's also like a completely different type.
Yeah, and I think like while bike packing, like you can't. I mean, what I like most about bike packing is the camping experience, the reward you get at the end of the day to just like sit down and have a campfire and just enjoy it with your friends. Really.
Yeah. Like so like the camp life, that's a really big part of bikepacking then. Whether it's alone or with friends, the things that you do there really like cement the whole experience. It really ties everything together. After a long day in the saddle, you're going to be starving. So cooking food and drinking water and just getting out of your sweaty shoes and bibs maybe. That's like it's a really nice feeling.
Yes, 100%. And so while we are on the topic of camp life, so what are you bringing with you to cook stuff, right? So after the end of the day, you rode, I don't know, like 200 kilometers and you're completely destroyed. Like you just need some food and sleep at that point. So what are you taking to cook with you?
Okay,
What
200K. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's true. It's a good, yeah, that really depends then on yeah, how much you cycle, how tired you are, but generally I think a good idea to bring to eat is stuff that does not rot fast. So don't bring like some smelly cheese or some some raw
milk.
meat. I mean, you could bring raw meat, but like at the same time I'm just thinking like midsummer, all the heat and stuff, and just want to bring something dry that's just gonna stay good for a long time. It's easy to cook, like pasta, for example, or
Oh yeah,
yeah,
just got my 2 gallons of milk with me.
yeah. You're like, bro, I brought my milk and cornflakes. Gonna make it. Oh man, the nice milk is clumpy now. It's tasty.
What I usually do is I buy something on the way and eat it at night, and it's usually something I don't need to cook for. So like I don't know, a big sandwich or something like this. What I use my gas stove for is really only for coffee in the morning, because making a coffee outside and drinking your own coffee outside, even if it's bad coffee, it tastes good because you're outside.
Yeah, definitely. And being outside after a long day of exercise makes anything so much better,
Yes.
like food wise. But yeah, what I take normally is just macaroni and like powdered cheese, just to make mac and cheese easily. And then you bring like some salt, some pepper, some chili flakes, whatever, and then that's really filling as well. And
That
yeah,
sounds filling. That sounds really
yeah.
heavy.
Yes. So after a long day, I'm just like, fuck, gotta eat. I gotta eat so much food. And again, on the topic of test ride, on my first trip, I brought enough food to feed like 16 families. And I was like, okay, I'm only going for one day. I need one night. I need to bring all of this, and this. So I brought so much food, and I only ate maybe like a quarter of it in the end. So yeah, test ride will really help you see what you need to take and what you don't need to take.
Yeah,
And
probably
that's
just go
yeah,
for like a one night or somewhere.
yeah,
Somewhere
definitely.
not that far.
No.
So you can have a backup.
Yes, but always I think it's better to have too much than not enough.
Yes. Just back on the sleeping side of things. Make sure you have clothes just for sleeping in like warm clothes, because even if it's like middle of summer, if you sleep in the forest, temperatures already drops, but at night they drop a lot. I mean, at least in Europe, right?
Yeah,
So really, you don't want to be super cold in the middle of the night, not being able to sleep, and just like being completely destroyed at, I don't know, whatever, 4 a.m. in the morning, and yeah, you couldn't sleep, and next thing you
it's
know,
the
you have
worst.
to do like another 200K.
Yeah, with on like
So
three and a half hours of sleep, no one wants that.
yeah, so really like make a test ride, a one nighter, to know what you actually need.
Definitely. Yeah, so, like from my own experience of doing my test ride, one thing that I think is I never even thought about that I should have brought with are earplugs. Because if you're out in nature, you can hear everything in nature, whether it's crickets or in my case, there were frogs screaming their heads off all night long. So in the end, I slept maybe like 3 hours. So earplugs, that's one personal tip that I think people should maybe take with them. They don't weigh anything. They don't take any space, so might as well.
Continuing into camp life, what about hygiene? So of course you want to be kind of clean after your sweaty ride. Uh, so just like the fact that you're taking toilet paper, dry soap, wet tissues, probably a first aid kit. I always have one with me. Those are like €5 in France at like a sporting goods shop,
Yeah.
and you have like, it's a really small and a really condensed first aid kit, but you know what? It'll do the job if I don't cut my arm or whatever. Also, think about mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Like natural mosquito repellent might be a good idea for you.
Yeah, because you never know. It might be all around you and it will turn your life into hell, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, and like if you're at home and you're used to like moisturizing and exfoliating your face and having 30-minute showers, then you don't expect to have that in the wild. So wet wipes, they do the job enough to keep yourself like basically like basic hygiene to keep that in check.
Yep.
But everyone, if you're cycling with a group of people after a day, everyone's gonna be stinky. It's no big deal. But if you really want a shower, what I know works is that you can just take an empty bottle with like a 2 liter Coke bottle, empty one. You put it with water and then you poke holes into it at the bottom. And then you just hang that from a branch and you've got like a shower for like 2 or 3 minutes. And then, but that's not even necessary. It's just like a small luxury as well.
Yeah. Also, a good thing is to just camp next to a river. Then you can,
Yeah.
yeah, you can wash yourself there.
So I've seen like people that bike pack through Switzerland or something, and then they just like camp at the river and they can drink the water and just shower in there and wash their bibs and dry them overnight. And that seems nice. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
not nice in a hotel, but it seems like really nice
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be able to do that.
A little bit like paradise, right?
Yeah, definitely. So now so far we've discussed the main parts, so like bike, bags, food, camp life, but then there are some extra things that you might consider bringing with, such as a camera to record the memories with, or sunglasses to protect your eyes from the sun after looking straight for 5 hours a day. So I think sunglasses are really important
Yeah.
to just keep yourself like sane. You will go crazy otherwise. And otherwise, you're probably bringing a phone with, or a bike computer, or both. And then you want to think about how do you recharge it. So then a power bank would be useful, whether it's pre-charged or with solar panel.
Yeah, especially if your only way to orient yourself is a GPS, you want to keep that juicy, right?
Yeah.
You don't want your GPS to die on you, and then
No.
you
So
don't know where to go.
yeah. So just keep the power bank for the GPS. Put the Instagram away. Put the Snapchat away. The GPS is important piece.
It is. It
And
is.
then yeah, what do you think the total bike weight can be at the end for with track packing?
For track packing especially, so the experience I have is I usually track pack with my mesh work, which is already a stupidly heavy frame, really.
Yeah.
But it's a good size for me. It's comfy for me. I like it. So you know what? It's good. And last time I weighed it was all the bags and stuff on it. It was 14 kilos. I'd say don't go over 14, 15 kilos, really. Uh, you don't want to go super, super heavy, especially if you only have, if you're riding fixed gear, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that's the weight limit. You can probably go down if you don't take all that extra stuff that you actually don't need, but that's something you kind of know after a few trips. For example, I have that ration of pasta in my bag for the last 3 trips, and you know what? I'm probably never gonna eat that, so I probably don't need that. Or I don't know, stuff like this. You don't need
Yeah.
a gigantic gas canister if you use a gas stove like me. You just need a small one because they actually last pretty long.
Yeah.
I have a gas canister and I've been using it for like I don't know, like a year and a half, mixing bike packing and van trips. So yeah,
Yeah.
those last pretty long.
So definitely just like check what you need, and after a few test rides or trips, you'll see what you need and what you don't need. And I will be linking a website called Lighter Pack in the show notes. And this one is really useful. I think it was mainly for backpacking, but now you can use it for anything. And you can like organize what you take with equipment, hygiene, food, gear, and then you can put the weight there, and you can see in the end how much everything weighs and which section has the heaviest weight and which section has the least heaviest. It's just nice to have an overview as well then.
Yes, so I will also put a checklist in the show notes by rayco.op. They have like the really, really nice backpacking checklist for everything you think you need or don't need, but it's nice to have a checklist. It's an extensive list, right? You have the option to take like pillows and ground clothes and stuff that are completely optional, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just having a checklist make things easier, I feel. So yeah, I'll link that into the show notes.
Yeah, helps you see that you don't forget anything important, of course.
Yes.
And then, so now if you've got all of these things together, whether they're new or they're used or you don't have all of them, chances are you're still able to have a nice trip. Because in the end, the trip is what makes it fun, not the quality of the gear you always have. So, and then you might be thinking of how do you even plan a trip like this? If you're planning a week trip, that's already a massive, just planning the trip itself is like a massive thing to do. And you can use platforms such as Komoot, Ride with GPS, even Google Maps if you just want to explore, or Strava. And then if you're really wild, you can just take nothing and just go wherever the roads take you.
Adventure.
Yeah, it's a real adventure then. But so make sure you plan your route properly if you want to like stay kind of relaxed as well. Like say if you know that you're certain in a certain area with shops for grocery stores or whatever gas stations, that you know there's always something nearby in case you need water or food or anything.
Yeah. Everything we talked about in the last 40 minutes is really general to all bike packing, really. Some stuff that is more focused on track packing, like, for example, gear ratio, we talked about it. But also, like, Does Your Frame has the ability to have probably like just a little bit wider tires. You don't want to go with like 23 millimeters tires. I think like 28 would be a good start. I would use 32 if you can because those make a nice comfy cushion between you and the road. And when you have like I don't know how many kilometers of road ahead of you and you just feel everything on the road, you probably want that extra caution.
Yeah, it will make a difference over the long term. So yeah, of course, if you have all of these things, you can go trackpacking now. But you might be asking yourself, why should I do all of these things? It seems like so much stuff to collect. I have to buy all this shit and blah blah blah. So trackpacking is just another way to ride your bike. So people the fixed gear bike first existed on the velodrome, and then people were like, fuck that, we're gonna use it on the street. We're gonna deliver pizzas and newsletters and documents with it. And then fuck that, we're gonna have a closed circuit race, call it Red Hook Crit. But now there's also trackpacking. It's just another way to enjoy cycling. And if you really feel the need to get out of the city, I think this is a good way as well.
This is a good way, and if it's also like a good reason to get out of the city, even if you don't have a road bike. Taking your track bike fixed gear everywhere is 100% a challenge. Not gonna lie on that. It is a challenge. It is not meant for it at any point. But in today's age, we have the ability to have frames with like wider tire clearance or frames that are way more comfier for ultra distance, even if they're fixed gear. You have like tons of adapters, so really taking your track bike on an adventure and taking it to place it is not supposed to be uh, is like a thing I enjoy a lot about fixed gear. Really, is just like taking my track bike onto an adventure. And you know what? I don't have a road bike, so I'll just do with what I have.
Yeah. And yeah, so there's also like the sense of accomplishment then, and at the end, like, oh, you just did this entire that massive journey with a track bike. It's like, yeah, you can pat yourself on the back then a bit as well. Of
Yes.
course, most of the things we discussed today can be done with normal geared bike as well. And the fun of it is that you have the choice. You can do whatever you want, and in the end, it's bike packing, track packing. I can almost guarantee it that it will be a great experience to have it done at least one time.
Yes, at least once do it. It's a lot of fun. And if you want to just try it once and you're not sure, because of course buying all those bags require a little bit of money, I have to admit that. Just ask a friend who already has like all the setup if you can just like use it for one nighter and you'll see by yourself.
Yeah. And if you're lucky as well, I bought half my gear online, like used, and you can find a lot of used stuff, perhaps from people who wanted to only try it once and they didn't like it, and then they sold it all for like 50% off. But you can find some pretty good deals online for used bags, and you don't need to get the best bike bags like Apidura or something. You don't have to get the best stove, the best this, that. Just like, it's a simple thing in the end, just some bags, some food, some stove, like a stove, and then you're good to go.
There is also quite a lot of locals bike bags makers.
Yeah.
So you probably have one around you. I know there is some in Japan. There's some in the US. I use Outer Shells bags. Those are handmade in California, and they are frankly amazing. Love those guys. If you want to come on the show, please do. It will be a lot of fun. Um, but what do you use, Fabian, for bags?
So I use Apidura actually,
Okay.
and like in hindsight, I don't think I would go with them anymore. They're great. They're really fantastic. It's just they don't do they don't do much more than other bags would have done. I think
Yes.
it's more about like the weight and just the way they look. But nowadays, I found out there's also quite a few that make bags in the Netherlands. So I think in the future, if the Apidura bags ever give out, which I hope they don't for the price I paid, I will be going with the Dutch ones that are handmade in the Netherlands.
Yeah. Let's face it. Having bags onto your track bikes looks pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. I mean, that's my point of view, but I think it looks pretty cool. So, yeah, track packing is fun. You'll definitely get some street creds for that.
Hmm.
And yeah, going on an adventure with your favorite bike is really an awesome thing.
So on the topic of track packing, specifically track packing, Paul actually released, I believe it was his first blog post on slowspinsociety.com.
Yes.
He released a little write up about his journey this summer in France with some friends he did. So where did you end up going there?
So we end up going northwest of Paris. It was like I think around 100 150 k's northwest of Paris. It was a lot of fun. We were stupid enough to go on the hottest day of the year. So it was extremely hot. It was so hot, and I was sweating so much that at one point, um, the sweat on the corner of my eyes was so salty, it was irritating my skin.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's going bad.
And then if you have like a black set of like bib shorts and A jersey, you can see at the end, like the white
Oh yeah,
salt at the end of the day, and then you know you've lost a lot of salt. And actually, I read like an article that it's actually a good idea to put salt in your water bottle, like a small amount to replenish that salt that you lose during when you sweat too much. It says also important for the body, sodium.
if you don't want to put raw salt into your bowl, there's actually a little pills thingy that you put
Oh,
into
the
your
one that
bottle.
mixed, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
put this into your water bottle and it gives you like extra energy or something like that. I never used those, but
they're
uh,
pretty nice.
yeah.
What's the drink in Japan? The isotonic drink. It's like it has the blue name with the white
Oh
text.
yeah,
Pocari Sweat. Pocari
yeah,
Sweat.
Pocari Sweat.
So they also come. So this is like an isotonic drink, like Gatorade or 100 plus in Singapore. But yeah, this comes in the form of powder that you can mix into a drink as well, into water, and then it gives you like the extra benefit.
Yes,
That's also useful to have then.
yeah, it's also useful to have. One thing I that really came out of that trip is if you're riding in the plain sun all day, and we had like so in France, all cemeteries have water source, water fountains,
Okay.
right? So we were stopping at every cemetery to refill all our bottles. And at the time, I had two medium bottles of water and I was finishing them so fast. They were
Yeah.
both black. So, for real, the water was fresh for half a minute and then it was warm.
Oh, that's nasty. That sounds so nasty.
And it had the taste of plastic.
No. Okay, so
Not
lesson learned.
cool. Yeah, lesson
Bring a
learned.
trans bring a transparent glass bottle, right? Glass. No, don't do that. But and also, I think sunscreen is really important if you're cycling in the sun all day.
Yeah, 100% sunscreen.
Like
Especially
really
if you're
thick.
like super white like me. Sunscreen is a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're planning to do track packing this summer as we do, because we were planning to do track packing last summer and COVID and basically everything that hit the world pretty hard, we couldn't make it
Yeah.
really. But we're definitely gonna do it this summer or this
Yeah.
spring. And yeah, if you're planning to do so, make your research. It's important to be prepared, especially if you're going alone in the wild. You don't want to be under prepared. Like
No.
taking too much stuff on your first trip is not a bad thing. You'll see after what you actually do need or don't need. But yeah, just be prepared. And since you're in a fixed gear, you don't need that much tools. I usually carry like one multi tool, one tube, one CO2 canister, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And a first aid kit. But that's what's in my tool keg.
Yeah. So that's like the basic ones that should fix most of the things then.
Yeah, that will take care of like I don't know 90% of your problems really.
Mm.
Oh, I also have a spoke key.
Okay, yeah. So bring the one with if you know how to use it.
All right, guys, this is all we have time for today. Track packing is a pretty extensive topic, so we might do another episode about it. I don't know. All we talked about today can be found in the show notes. You can find us on Discord, where Fabian and I are pretty much all the time, really. Also on the blog, slowspeensociety.com, and on my personal Instagram, at underscore Paul underscore you. If you have any question for us, you can email the show at slowspeedpodcast@gmail.com. We have a monthly Q&A episode where we'll try to answer all your questions. So really, it can be anything that is track bike related. The music for the show is Lovely Swindler by Maria, and the illustration is by at Juliet Joe on Instagram. You can support us by sharing the show and give us a good review on the platform of your choice. But if you want to have access to the extended cut of the podcast, you can visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/slowspin podcast. And pledging at any level will grant you access to the pre and after show, which is around 40 minutes of extra content per week. You can have all these infos on the show notes of this episode. So we'll see you guys there. And we'll see you guys next Monday.
Yep. See you guys.
See you
Bye.
guys. Bye bye.